Hello everybody, welcome to this new video. In this video, we will be discussing about the difference between count, CountA, CountX, CountAX, distinct count, CountBlank, distinct count, no blank, CountRows, CountX, etc. We will have a simple example, and with respect to that example, we will be seeing the difference between all these kinds of count. So basically, count is used to count the number of rows in a table where a specified column has non-blank value. But in this example, we will be seeing the number of rows which are having the blank values as well. So going to the details, so we have this much of functions with respect to the count. And the first one is the basic one, the count function. It counts the number of cells in a column that contains non-blank values. So now the next will be CountX. It counts the number of rows that contains a non-blank value or an expression that evaluates to a non-blank value when evaluating an expression over a table. So you can use an expression with the count function. The third one is used to count the function, the number of cells in a column that are not empty. So if you are having a Boolean values in the function, you can use this CountA function. The same way, with respect to that Boolean function, you can use the expression. Now the CountBlank function. So here in this function, it will count the blank cells in a column. The same way, DistinctCountNoBlank also can be used to get the column cells which are not blank in a column. So DistinctCount will be able to get the values which are there in a column that are distinct. That means if you are having a country name like Singapore 2 times, it will be showing as 1. So the count rows is similar to count function. It takes the entire row, how many rows are there in the function. So we have some use cases in this example, and we are having a data set. We are having almost 4 tables in that, and one is especially for measure. And these tables, basically, we are using the sales details tables. So in this sales details tables, we are having columns, and like some 2 extra columns I have added just to make sure about the count example. So in this column, they will check whether this unit price is greater than 1000. If it is greater than 1000, the value will be false. And if it is lesser than 1000, it will be true. That means affordable is true if it is less than 1000, and affordable is false if it is greater than 1000. And this export order column, it is with respect to this channel column, and it will take only the order ID of all the channels which are having export order. So now if the channel is having industries or import, it will be taking it as blank. So why I have done this is to just to get the count of the blank and the non-blank values. So that will be easy in the example. So we'll take this table and we will do the example. And these are the use cases we are having. So first one is a very simple one. You need to get the total orders. Just count the total orders. And this will be same almost in the case of this also, because count all records in sales tables compared with total orders. So both these things should almost be similar. We'll try and see whether both of them are similar. If this is similar to here, when and once the order ID is distinct, both will be similar. We will check it and see. Take the visualization and take the card. We will keep the card here. So we will create a measure. It is for counting the total orders with respect to the order ID. So in this measure, we will give the name as count total orders. You can use a simple function count and order ID we can give. We can use this measure in this chart. Yes, we got the total number of orders. We can change the label and we can give it none so that we can get the exact figure of. So total orders is 10,684. We will get this also and we will see whether it is matching. So we have done this count and now we are going to do this count rows. So create a measure. It will be count all records. So here in this function, no need to give any column name or anything, just give the table and it will retrieve all the rows, count of all the rows in that table. So you can use count rows and table name. Table name is sales. You can copy and paste this here and you can remove here, remove this field from here and you can give count all records, and it is same in both the cases. So that means here this sales details, this count order ID is distinct. Obviously, it should be distinct. So the next is count the code numbers distinct in code column. So we have a column code. So in this code, we are having around this much 4 values. We need to get only these 4 values, this 4. Instead of that, if you are using symbol count in this column, you will be getting this much of results. We don't want this result. We need only 4 here. We can use distinct count in this case. So we can create a measure, count code, distinct count, and we can give the column name. We copy and paste, and we can change it to count code. We got 4. There are 4 count codes in that. So the next problem is in channel column count the number of industries. So we can go to the channel column. This is the channel column, and we need to get the count of industries. Only industries, because here we are having 3 values are there. So, but we need to get only the count of these industries. When we will use that, so we can use CountX function for that, because we can get the table and we can use the expression. So if you use count, you will be getting all the entire values. But if you use an X with respect to that, we can get the X, we can write the expression for that, and we can get the count of the desired value we need. So we will create a measure with respect to this, and we need to use a filter also. So we can name it as count industries, because CountX. And first is the table. We need to filter the table. So we can use the function filter table sales details. And then what we are filtering it? We are filtering the industries. So we can use it as channel equals to industries. And then we need to give the column name, expression as the column name. Copy and paste it here once again. And we'll change, and we will get the count of industries. And this much of records are there with respect to industries. So the next one is you need to get the count of the total affordable column, the values in the affordable column. How many values are there in the affordable column? You need to get it. This affordable column, if you check it, it is not a decimal or integer. It is totally the data type is different, true, false. So if you use the count or CountX function, it might not work there. It won't work there. We will try and use the count function. So total count affordable, we will simply use count function and see. So affordable, we will check whether it is working. It won't be working if you use this count function, because the data type is totally different. See, we got this error because we have written it as count. Instead of this count, if you put a count a function, just check it and see it will work, because count. So when we use count a function, it is working and it is showing the same columns regarding this. Now we got the entire count of the affordable column, but here we need to get the records which is affordable only. That means in this column, whichever value is true, we need to get it. Here, whichever value is true, you need to get it. So for that, of course, for expression, we need another function that is called CountAX function. Because there is a difference between count and CountX. Same difference we are having in CountA and CountAX, because in AX you can use the filter functions also. So we will be writing a filter function for that. Just click on the measure, new measure, and you can create total count true in affordable. Count AX, and we need to give the filter function for that. We need to filter the table, filter which table it is, sales, and which column it should be. And the column will be affordable, sales affordable equals true. And we need to give the column name as expression. That's it. We will check and see. And we got the different value than this. and this much of affordable items are there in this column. So the next case is you need to count the blank cells in the export table. Of course, the export table here, it is having lots of blank. So you need to count this blank cells and you have to display it here. So for that, there is a function called CountBlank. There is a function called CountBlank, and this function will return the blank cells in the column, count the number of blank cells in the column. So you can use the CountBlank function here. You can copy and paste it here, and you can create a new measure. You can give the name as blank and export. It's CountBlank and give the row export. Of course, we will be getting the blank rows. This much of rows are blank. That means the remaining are export values, because in this export table we have taken out other two industries and input. We have only export values here. So the remaining, that means 10,684 minus 9094 will be the export, total number of exports. So the next one is you need to get the count of distinct values in export table. So distinct values in export table means, so in this export table, there are lots of blank rows are there. And the next one will be, so if you check how the export order table is created, you can see that import and industries from this channel column have been taken it as blank. In this channel column, the remaining one will be only export. So when we take the distinct of this column, you need to get only export, and export distinct of export will be 1, because if you have whatever, how much of numbers you have, that means, okay, this industries, we have this much of numbers, if you see that. So, but when you take the distinct, it will be shown as 1. So here it should be 1. If you leave the blank rows, it will be 1. So you need to get the figure as 1. So you have a function for that, distinct count without blank. If you use this distinct count without blank, you will be getting count of the distinct values which are not blank. If you use the distinct count there, you will get the blank. Blank will be also taken as distinct. So that use case you are having in the next one. So here we can use the new measure for it. Distinct in export equals to distinct count no blank in export. So you can use this chart for showing it, distinct in export. So we got 1, but we need one blank cells also. We need to count the blank cells also. That we can use it in the same function we have used it here. In the code, we have used the function as distinct count. The same function, if you use here also, you will get the distinct count of with blank rows also. So you can create a measure and you can use distinct export with blank. So distinct count, and you can give it as export. So basically distinct count will take the blank rows also as distinct. So you can copy and paste it here, and you can select the distinct export with blank. You will be getting 2. That one is the export and the second one is blank. So here this was the column which we were seeing. So these blanks, it will be taken as 1, and the remaining export, that will be taken as 1. So it will be 1 plus 1, 2. So if you are using without any blank, the distinct count no blank, if you are using this function, the blank cells will be taken it off and only the export row cells will be shown. So these are the different functions which we used to do in count with respect to this video. Hope this will enlighten you, and if you have any doubts regarding this, you can comment it. Have a nice day.